There's something about mornings. Everything feels softer, like the world is willing to forgive you for being a little messy, a little tired, a little behind. I don't know where you are right now. Maybe it's still dark outside your window. Maybe you're already halfway through your day, sipping coffee that's gone cold on the table. Or maybe you're like me, sitting in the quiet, letting the silence stretch out. Not sure if you're ready to face another set of hours. But wherever you are, I want to tell you this. I'm glad you're here, really. I've been thinking a lot about appreciation, how it feels to give it, how it feels to receive it, and maybe more painfully, how it feels when it's missing. Can I ask you something small but real? When was the last time you looked at the person you love? Not in passing, not in routine, not in obligation, but with that deep, grounding gratitude? The kind where your chest softens and your eyes linger because, for just a moment, you remember. This is my person. I'm not asking to make you guilty. I'm asking because we all forget. We forget the way their voice steadies us. We forget the weight of the little things they carry for us: bills, chores, the hard conversations we didn't want to have. We forget that someone who stays day after day, week after week, deserves to be seen, not just as a habit in our life, but as a choice we're lucky enough to receive. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I catch myself scrolling, working, moving so fast that I don't stop long enough to notice. Notice the hand reaching for mine. Notice the tired smile waiting when I walk through the door. Notice the effort, small but steady, that says, I'm still here with you. It's not easy, is it? To pause, to name it, to say out loud, thank you. I see you. I don't take you for granted. Because sometimes our pride gets in the way. Sometimes our exhaustion swallows the words, and sometimes we just assume they already know. But love doesn't breathe well in assumptions, it thrives in reminders. So today, let's walk slowly into this space together. Not rushing, not listing, not teaching, just remembering. Because the truth is, every husband, every partner really wants the same thing. Not perfection, not performance, but to feel like the way they show up matters. To feel like the work they do, seen or unseen, isn't invisible. And maybe, just maybe, the way to appreciate your husband doesn't begin with grand gestures or expensive gifts. Maybe it begins with a single breath, a single pause, a single whisper. I see you. I'm grateful. It sounds simple, right? Almost too simple. But let me ask you this. If it's so simple, why does it feel so rare? That's where I want to take you today. Into the heart of this question. Why we forget to appreciate, even when we love deeply. Why the silence between words of gratitude can grow heavier than we expect. And how one gentle shift can bring warmth back into a relationship that has started to feel like routine. So before we go further, just sit with me here for a moment. Feel your breath. Think of the person waiting in your life, the one who has stayed through your storms, your moods, your rough days. And let's ask together, what does it really mean to appreciate your husband? The other day, a friend told me something that stayed in my chest. She said, I don't think my husband even notices how much I do for him anymore. And I could feel the ache behind those words. Not anger, not even resentment. Just this quiet, tired disappointment. She wasn't asking for flowers every week. She wasn't waiting for a dramatic anniversary trip. She just wanted acknowledgement. A little recognition that the everyday work of holding a life together is seen, not assumed. And I thought about it, how easy it is for any of us to slip into that forgetting. We get used to each other's effort. We stop naming the things they do. We turn the extraordinary into ordinary, just because it happens every day. Like when he fixes something around the house before it breaks. Or when he goes out in the rain to get gas so you won't have to stop in the morning. Or when he quietly pays the bill, takes out the trash, answers the call you didn't want to deal with. These aren't the things that end up in Instagram posts, but they are the things that build a home, brick by brick, without demanding applause. And yet, when those things go unspoken, a part of him wonders, does she even notice? Does it matter that I try? I remember once, sitting with another couple after dinner. The wife was teasing in a half-joking way about how her husband never compliments her cooking, and he laughed, but his face changed just a little, as if to say, "Do you know how many times I've kept quiet about what I do too?" That's the truth nobody wants to admit. Silence doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes it means exhaustion. Sometimes it means one person has stopped trying to be seen. And I know, life is heavy. Some days, you're just trying to survive the routine, to hold down work, kids, stress, bills. Gratitude feels like one more thing to remember, one more task on a never-ending list. But here's what I noticed. When we forget to appreciate, it's not just about what they lose, it's about what we lose too. Because appreciation isn't a duty, it's a mirror. When you look at him and say, "Thank you for working so hard," you're not just lifting him up. You're reminding yourself that you're not alone in carrying the weight of life. When you say, "I saw what you did and I'm grateful," you're letting yourself feel safe, loved, partnered. You're reminding your own heart that love is a shared effort, not a silent contract. And maybe you've been here too. Maybe you've had moments where you thought, "He doesn't notice me either. Why should I bother?" That's the tug of war many couples find themselves in, each one waiting to be seen first, each one building a wall of silence. But let me tell you something real. The walls don't protect you, they bury you. Sometimes the first step in appreciating your husband isn't about waiting for him to notice you, it's about breaking the cycle. It's about deciding that appreciation isn't a reward, it's a language, a daily living language that keeps love awake. And here's the quiet wound behind the story my friend told me. Her husband didn't stop caring. He didn't stop loving. He just thought love was obvious, that showing up every day was enough proof. But love that isn't spoken eventually feels like love that doesn't exist. So maybe the first emotional truth we need to sit with is this. Your husband doesn't need perfection. He doesn't need performance. What he needs most, what most of us need, is to know that what he gives, in his imperfect, ordinary way, actually matters to you. And if you've forgotten to say it lately, you're not alone. We all forget. We all assume. We all think they should just know. But I promise you, saying it out loud changes the air between you. It shifts the weight. It tells him, "I see you, and I don't take you for granted." There's a silence no one warns you about. Not the silence of a fight, not the silence of distance, but the silence that grows when love stops being named. It's not loud, it's not dramatic. It creeps in like dust, small, invisible, until one day you realize the air feels heavier. I've seen it happen in couples who swore they'd never lose their spark. The wife stops saying thank you. The husband stops giving compliments. Both of them still love each other, but without words, the love becomes unspoken. And unspoken love feels dangerously close to unloved. You know what I mean, right? When he carries the groceries in without being asked and you barely look up. When you cook dinner after a long day and he eats quietly, scrolling his phone. When effort becomes background noise. Here's the truth. When we stop naming what we appreciate, we start treating each other like furniture. Useful, familiar, always there, but rarely admired, rarely cherished. And inside, something cracks. Because every human, man, woman, husband, wife, carries the same ache, to matter. Not just to be useful, not just to function, but to be seen as someone whose presence changes the room. If that ache goes too long without being answered, it doesn't disappear. It mutates. Your husband may not say it out loud, but unspoken appreciation can turn into quiet withdrawal. He'll still fix the sink, still drive to work, still do the heavy lifting, but a part of him will start asking, "Why does it feel like I'm invisible here?" And when a man starts feeling invisible in his own home, it's not always anger that comes first. It's emptiness. He might joke less, share less, smile less. Not because he doesn't love you, but because love without acknowledgement begins to feel like labor without rest. It's not love, it's survival. And survival doesn't build intimacy. It builds distance. Sometimes when I talk to men, they admit it quietly, almost embarrassed. They'll say, I don't need much. I just need to know I'm not failing her. Think about that. So much of his effort isn't about pride or ego. It's about wanting to be enough in your eyes. Not perfect, not flawless, just enough. And here's where it gets raw. If you don't tell him, he won't know. He might guess, he might hope, but deep down, he'll wonder if his love is landing, if it's hitting the mark, if all the ways he shows up are even worth anything. And maybe you've felt this too, from the other side. The times you gave your best, but it slipped by unnoticed. How heavy it felt. How quickly it turned into resentment. That's what I mean when I say, love starves without words. It's not because the actions don't matter, they do. But actions without acknowledgement lose their warmth. They start to feel like chores. So the second truth, deeper and raw, is this. When you don't appreciate him, he doesn't just feel unthanked. He feels unseen. And being unseen in the one place you should feel safest, your home, cuts deeper than most people will ever admit. Maybe that's why couples drift apart without realizing. Not because they stopped loving, but because they stopped expressing. Not because the effort ended, but because the gratitude did. And here's the scariest part. When appreciation disappears, it doesn't always end in fights. Sometimes it ends in silence. And silence is harder to heal than conflict. So I'll say it again softly. It's not love. It's survival. And survival is not enough for a marriage. There's a hidden danger in all of this. And it's not what most people think. It's not that forgetting to appreciate your husband will cause an explosive fight or a sudden breakup. Number. The danger is quieter, more invisible, like erosion. You know how water, drop by drop, wears down even the strongest stone? That's what a lack of appreciation does inside a marriage. Not in one night, not in 1 year, but slowly, almost invisibly, until one day you wake up and the bond feels thinner, weaker, fragile. I once spoke with a woman who told me, I don't know when it happened, but I feel like we're roommates now, not partners, just two people running a house together. And my chest ached when I heard that, because you don't get to that place overnight. You get there through silence, through missing words, through years of thinking, he knows I love him. I don't need to say it. But here's the truth. People don't get tired of loving. They get tired of begging to be noticed. Your husband, no matter how strong, no matter how steady, is not immune to this. He may not say it out loud, men often don't, but that doesn't mean he doesn't feel it. The danger isn't that he'll stop loving you. The danger is that he'll start loving in silence, protecting himself, keeping a piece of his heart tucked away where it feels safer not to be disappointed. And when that happens, when he starts guarding himself inside the very relationship that's supposed to be home, something precious is lost. Do you see the risk now? It's not about the dishes or the bills or the daily grind. It's about what silence does to the soul. It teaches him that effort is unnoticed. It teaches him that presence is assumed. And worst of all, it teaches him that love is not worth expressing. And you know who pays the price for that? Both of you. Because when a man stops believing his effort matters, he gives less of it. Not out of spite, but out of quiet surrender. And when that surrender happens, the home loses something invisible but vital. Warmth. Let me put it this way. They don't trick you with something you already have. They trick you with what you're still begging for. And if your husband is begging silently for appreciation, for acknowledgement, for the reminder that he's more than just a provider, more than just a body in the house, then the absence of that reminder becomes the perfect soil for distance, disconnection, even temptation. People who are full, they don't fall for crumbs. But people who are starved, emotionally starved, can start to mistake crumbs for a feast. That's the wake-up realization. It's not just about appreciating your husband to make him feel good. It's about protecting the foundation of your marriage, about making sure he doesn't have to go hungry for the one thing that should be most abundant at home: love that is seen, spoken, acknowledged. So the real question is not, does he know I love him? The real question is, does he still feel it? And those two things are not the same, are not. So where do we go from here? Because it's one thing to recognize the silence, it's another to choose something different. And maybe you're thinking, it can't be that simple. Just say thank you, just notice him. But here's the quiet truth: it really can be that simple. Appreciation isn't a performance. It's not a speech you have to rehearse. It's not flowers every Friday or grand gestures posted online. It's in the small, ordinary moments where you decide to let love breathe again. You're pouring water into a thirsty soil, not because the ground will collapse without it today, but because you know over time that's how roots stay alive. Maybe tonight, when he walks through the door, you say, I know you're tired. Thank you for working so hard. Maybe tomorrow, when he makes coffee before you wake up, you whisper, I noticed. Maybe the next time he fixes something, instead of assuming, you smile and say, I don't take this for granted. It costs nothing, but it means everything. Because here's what I believe: every time you speak appreciation, you aren't just lifting him, you're healing the distance. You're choosing partnership over survival. You're saying, I see you, I still choose you, every day. And don't underestimate how that changes him. Men, for all their quiet strength, carry doubts too. They wonder if they're enough. They wonder if they're failing you. And one genuine word of gratitude has the power to ease that weight more than you may ever realize. Of course, this doesn't mean you're the only one responsible. Love is a two-way street. He must see you too, thank you too, notice your effort too. But someone has to break the silence. And if you're listening to this right now, maybe that someone is you. Not because you're weaker, not because you owe him, but because you want to protect what you've built. Because you know a marriage without appreciation is a house with walls, but no warmth. So start small. One word, one thank you, one moment of recognition. And watch how the air changes between you. Watch how his shoulders soften. Watch how his laughter comes back. Watch how the home feels less like routine and more like love again. Because love was never about the grand declarations. It was always about the quiet, daily choosing, the noticing, the naming, the remembering. And maybe tonight, when you're both too tired, too busy, too distracted, you can pause just long enough to say, I don't say it enough, but I'm grateful for you. That's how marriages survive the silence. That's how love becomes felt again. So let this be your gentle reminder. Your husband doesn't need you to be perfect. He doesn't need you to move mountains. He just needs to know that the love he gives, imperfect, ordinary, daily, is still reaching you. And maybe, as you hear these words, there's someone's face you're thinking of, someone you haven't thanked in a while, someone who deserves to know they are seen. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until it's too late. Sometimes the simplest words carry the deepest healing. I see you. I appreciate you. I love you. That's enough, more than enough. And with that, I'll leave you tonight with a soft hope that you find the courage to break the silence, to let gratitude flow again, and to remind the one you love that they matter. Because at the end of the day, isn't that what we're all longing for? Not perfection, not performance, just to matter. Good night.